A famous comedian and automotive collector icon once said, "Electric vehicles and hybrids will be to the motor car what the motor car was to the horse. They'll indeed replace our conventional cars eventually, but that does not mean gasoline-powered cars will be gone. They'll be used like we use horses today, for recreational purposes." Now, for enthusiasts, he wasn't talking about the Prius. That's for people who hate cars. What he was talking about are alternative fuel vehicles that you actually want to own. And when Tesla released the Roadster, they showed the world that electric vehicles could be desirable, albeit still quite expensive, and with a Lotus-based platform being impractical for most daily driver duties, and for those who actually need a family car. Now step in the Model S, which was released in 2012, and the version that we're going to be talking about today is a 2014. Now you'll notice the model here. You'd notice that this is not a new vehicle, and this is not a manufactured press car. This is a rental car. And before you jump to your local Hertz or Enterprise to go pick up your Model S for the weekend, you may want to check out something a little bit different. I got this Model S from a website and an app called Relay Rides. Now think of this as an Airbnb for cars, and I'm going to show you that yes, you could use an electric vehicle for your standard commute, but you don't need to be a boring person in the process. All right, folks, what we have here, 2014 Tesla Model S. We have the 85 kilowatt version of the car. I didn't spring for the P85D, mainly for the fact that nobody has their own personal cars for rental via Relay Rides. But that's okay. We're going to go ahead and talk about the standard performance 85 model. Since we're on performance, let's talk about power. 362 horsepower and 325 pound-feet of torque. Now, don't let that number fool you. It'll do 0 to 60 in about 5.4 seconds, top speed of 140. While that's fairly good, you got to understand those numbers, they're a little bit deceiving. What you've got is a single-speed, single-drive transmission. Instant torque. It's like a roller coaster ride, this car. Go-kart-like is putting it mildly. It's fast. It's properly fast. Immediate throttle response. It's something that's kind of amazing that a lot of electric cars do have, but more specifically, the Tesla does it even further beyond that limit. Now, we can go on and on about the toys that the Tesla Model S has. The first thing that is there is the screen. The screen is what pops out to you. If you can imagine two iPads put together, that's what you've got right here. It's pretty much what it is. It feels very Apple oriented with the operating systems that they're using on here. Now, when I first saw this, I thought this was going to be a distracted driving nightmare. That you're going to have so many drivers that are going to wreck these Teslas because this screen is, it's overbearing almost in the car. But you know what? The operating system with it, the functionality, it's very, very simple and very easy to use. So it's okay that it's there, but again, a lot of people might get distracted by this car. With the California rebates and the federal tax credits being $7,500 off and California tax rebates, this car is about $72,500, which is fairly reasonable considering the kind of car that you're getting. Now, on the D models, you're able to get all-wheel drive. If you want to just go ahead and go back for the rear-wheel drive versions of it, it'll set you back and actually cut back $5,000 off the price. But for me, I'm an idiot, and I like all-wheel drive, and the all-wheel drive version is probably the version that I would want to go for, mainly for the fact that, yes, you're going to cut off a full second off of your 0 to 60 times, but more specifically, it's actually more efficient. You get about 40 more mile range. You're going to have motors on both the front and rear wheels so that you're able to evenly distribute the power that the car is distributing out, which is pretty awesome in my opinion, that you're going to actually be able to properly put power down and it's more efficient. That makes it more fun. Okay, once you start looking at the market segment that the Tesla competes in, things start to get pretty interesting. If you look in the full pure electric market, there's really not a comparable competitor for the Model S. If you start to go back to plug-in hybrids, the only cars in the price range, be it on the low end, is the Cadillac ELR, and on the top end, the BMW i8. But the problems with those is obviously passenger room. This car can seat 7. The ELR, yeah, you're going to seat 4, but not comfortably. And the i8, that's just, you're going to be a two-seater only. And if you start going back on the lower end for the performance model, the ELR is not even in a close comparison with it. The only one that you're going to be able to compete with is the BMW i8 in terms of performance. But the performance of the P85D will absolutely trounce the i8. It might be better in the corners, but the P85 on straight acceleration is going to be pretty domineering. Now, based on that too, is once you start getting the electric motor and the actual engine generator and producing the 3-cylinder motor in the i8, you're going to be able to get a little bit more range, but it's really not going to be that much different from the P85. Ooh, a little bit of a room here. This car is properly fast. It's really, really good. Okay, now something that everybody's going to start considering with pure electric vehicles is range anxiety. The problem with that is most pure electric vehicles, not the Tesla, are 40 to 100 mile range. That's going to be pretty much the limit of what you're going to be getting with those cars. If you want to get the bug-eyed Leaf and then potentially a Focus electric, you're not going to get very good range out of those cars. The Tesla is the only one that's going to actually have reachable range. Now that goes back into, where are you going to be able to charge this car on the go? Now, Tesla does have the supercharging stations. They're not very common, and it's very inconvenient to actually find those anything outside of an urban area. So you start to run into that problem, which is not necessarily a good thing, but it is what it is. Overall, the Tesla Model S is the best offering that's going to change the mindset from traditional gasoline-powered vehicles and move towards the future of motoring. In the next few years, we're going to be seeing the other releases of the Tesla Model X and the upcoming inexpensive sedan that is surely to change and cause a bit of an uproar in the automotive market. Ultimately, you can see what Elon Musk's plan is, and that is an electric vehicle charging infrastructure, that of which the hydrogen fuel cell market just could not get traction on. And since this is the future, what we're going to be seeing is the sights and sounds of electric horsepower. Notice that there's not really a whole lot of road noise. It's very, hell, I'm sucking balls.